Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Science Stream. Thank you for joining us live on Facebook. I hope you continue to stay safe and healthy during this pandemic. We will be starting our broadcast shortly, so make yourself comfortable and feel free to leave your questions in the comments section for our guests to answer. See you in a bit. Hello once again, especially to those who have just joined us. I'm Sean from Tecton Penang, Penang's very own Science Discovery Center. As Ramadan comes to an end, we'll be moving to an earlier 8 p.m. slot from next week onwards. Through our collaboration with China Science and Technology Museum, Beijing, we are proud to bring you Dr. Zhang, an associate professor at Beijing University of Chinese Medicine. He is also a medical doctor in the Stroke Center of Dongfang Hospital, specializing in endovascular treatment for stroke. With 10 years experience in the emergency department, Dr. Zhang is skillful at treating a lot of common diseases. As such, at the beginning of this year, Dr. Zhang was assigned to the National Support Team in China as an infectionist. And as his role as an infectionist, he was ready for the breakout of the novel coronavirus pneumonia, which is now more commonly known as COVID-19. Tonight, Dr. Zhang will not only share with us about the novel coronavirus and the situation in China then, but also educate us on how to improve our hygienic habits. Let's welcome Dr. Zhang to the show, all the way from Beijing, China.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, welcome to Science Stream, Dr. Zhang.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you for being with us.
So you introduced me a lot, and share some information. Basically, at this time we have encountered this novel coronavirus for almost half a year. So we have some experience to share, not to educate people, but I can share some information. Okay. My English is very limited, so I can use some pictures to show how important washing hand is. So you can see it's our thumb print on a culture dish. If you just press your hand on a culture dish, after 24 hours, the germ and other microbes can grow rapidly on this dish. So you know your hand contains a lot of friends on your hand. Now you can see it's a quite popular program broadcasted in BBC program. It shows when you just rinse and shake your hands with water, it contains almost everything on your hand. And if you use soap for only a very short time, and it can kill half of the microbes. And if you wash hand for 20 seconds, 20 seconds, that's the lungs of our happy birthday song. So if you can wash your hand and sing happy birthday to you for 4 times, that's 20 seconds. After that, you can see your hand is getting more clear. And at this time, it's safe to touch your nose, your food, and to do everything. So washing important. Washing your hand is kind of important. Talking about this virus, I will show this is a model of a virus particle. You can see the virus is like a ball, and you can see some spikes on the surface. So when the virus particle landing on your skin, and the spike and your cell receptor can combine together. If they combine together, they can break down your immune system, and into your lung, you will get pneumonia. But when you're washing hand carefully, and you see carefully those potents, I mean those spikes on the virus surface, the structure will be ruined by the bleach or other sanitizers, and then you have less chance to combine with your cell receptors. So washing hand is important to your immune system and to protect you from the virus. Although this virus, you can see there are many spikes on the surface. So if one day we have vacancy, we are really safe. We are really safe from this virus. But I think at least it will last 1 year at least. Talking about washing hands, we should remember and memorize this great doctor, Agnes Samuel Wills. He was born in 1860 and he worked in obstetrical clinics at Austria. He invented how to wash hands, and he noticed that if you wash hands as a doctor and then you go to the operating room to do the operation, and the death rate will lower down 1%. That's a great saving. So he was called the savers of mothers because he saved a lot of mothers. But at that time, his idea about washing hands was rejected by many doctors. After 50 years, many doctors can accept washing hands is a good way to clean the virus, the germs, the bacteria, and to save more patients. So washing hands as the primary safe procedure in hospital. But now, many doctors and nurses sometimes are still forget to wash hands. So I think to emphasize the importance of washing hands is still popular on our days.
So, Dr. Zhang, maybe you can explain to the audience what is an infectionist. What does an infectionist do?
Okay. Actually, if infectionist is a kind of specialist in the doctor field. It's especially on the diagnosis of patient. They can use the blood test and use the microbiological methods to make a diagnosis of the patient. What kind of germs, bacteria, or virus is this patient got? And they use some pharmaceutical agents to treat the disease, also as well as healthcare. As my job, I was trained as an infectionist during the. Okay, you can see. At first, we should be trained to wear the medical protection equipment. You can see it's quite thick, and actually we wear a pair of boots and the whole clothes, and wear 3 layers gloves and 2 layers masks, also with a pair of glasses. And then we go inside the inpatient department and to check the patients who was infected by virus, and to check their vital signs, to check their user obstacles to hear their lungs, to hear their breath, and we also take some blood samples and to test what's the and depending the result of the test, we can choose what to do next. So infectionist is a doctor specialized in treating these infectious patients. That's our basic job. Okay.
So you were part of the national support team for China in the fight against COVID-19. Can you elaborate about this national support team? What was your role in this?
Okay. When it first started in Wuhan city, many Chinese doctors and nurses went to the city to help. At least over 40,000 people gathered there. They are really heroes, and I am as our support team, so the second team. I was trained with more knowledge and more equipment. I also contact with the frontliners, the heroes, and they can report the more details about the patients, like their symptoms and their physical signs, and I think they can. I think the experience is quite precious for our struggle against this virus. So you can say the Chinese government invests a lot of the resources to counter this virus. So we actually only use about 70 days to contain this virus. And finally, we are quite succeed in treating these patients. But there's still some failures. We should admit that if these patients at the very beginning time they can be separated. Maybe they can we can get better result. That means why you should keep our social distance and wear masks, even in nowadays in public. If you squeeze coughing, the viral particles can spread very, very rapidly through the air, through the environment. So if you're crowded people, maybe one coughing people can affect at least 4 or 5 people. So it can spread very quickly. Okay, you can see the video to show us how quick and how serious it is.
Yeah. It's not compulsory for Malaysians to wear masks when we go out, but we are encouraged to do so. I do remember my friend in China telling me that it is actually mandatory. It's compulsory to wear face mask in public. So yeah, as you have explained just now, it is very important. You can actually stop the spread of the virus very effectively.
So it's not mandatory, but everyone are willing to do so. If you are infected or you are carriers of these virus, maybe you can harm to your family. So every people are quite willing to do so, to wear masks. Even in May in Beijing, like today, we still wear the masks when we go to outside. But I think over the world there are some other situations. If you like, do not take the mask or you don't have one. But I think you should keep a certain social distance, at least 1 meter. In China, many public areas, there's still some line on the ground to show you how to take the line, to take the queue, keep social distance, and everybody follow this order. It's quite common. And I also want to show, if you don't have a mask and if you want to cough, you can cough into your bone. like this, and it can lower the density of the virus or other microparticles. So keep a good habit in the public. It's a good manner. Also, I want to share some experience to show you how to wear our masks. It's our medical masks. Actually, it has 3 layers. The outside layer, it can stop the virus, the bacteria inside your respiratory tract. And the middle layer it's waterproof and can stop the fluid. And the inside layer can stop you if you are infected. Can stop your virus to the outside. But when you take this mask, you should take it properly. You can take the tear to your ear, one side, and to the other ear. Then you should adjust the shape of the mask, especially here around your nose. You should press here, and you can squeeze with some pressure, and it will more close. And you should also notice here, if you use a mask repeatedly, it can loosen here, and also you should press the jaw here, and then it will be more effective, protect yourself and protect your family. So I put it out. It's in my home now.
So we have an audience asking a related question. So Dr. Zhang, is reusable face mask effective?
I think it's a great question. First, if you are high risk area, you should wear a medical mask, and for only once. And if you wear this, can only last for 4 to 6 hours, and discard it. Use a new one. But if you are lower risk area, you can use it for 1 or 2 days. Okay.
Okay. Right. So, Dr. Zhang, China has come a long way in this pandemic, from being the country with the most infected cases at the beginning of the year up to today, not even in the top 10. Malaysia actually would have more infected cases per million inhabitants compared to China, and our neighbor Singapore apparently tops the chart. So how is the current overall situation in China? Being in Beijing, was it different from other parts of China?
I think our nation take a very strict strategy to treat this virus. Especially our population density. You know that China has a very large population. At first, we even locked down the Wuhan city. That's a quite hard decision to make, but finally we proved that it's the right way to protect more people. And second, we actually educate the public how important the good hygienic habits, like wearing masks, washing hands, the program broadcasting these important things rapidly, and everyone knows that's important. So the Chinese people are very restrict, follow the order, like stay in home. Even when you go abroad, or you went home from abroad, stay in home for 14 days, even longer days, because there are still some unknown about this virus. Somebody say the incubation period is only 14 days, but some samples show that the virus can last for over 20 days, even longer. So we should make sure that we should stay home for as long as the virus can stop spreading. So sometimes we prolong the stay home period. And even now, China has very limited cases. We still use this kind of most of the Chinese people have a smartphone, and it can track their trees to show their trees. If it green, it means low risk. If it get red, it means high risk. If you get high risk, you should not move. You should not travel a lot. You should stay home. This is our hospital entries, and you can see many staffs work here to check out your sign or to take the temperature of your body, and to make sure the whole public is safe. So China take a very restricted method, but according to different countries, different nations, possibly they have more efficient way. But at this time, I think China's way is the best way, and it can be proved. Okay.
Yeah. So you were speaking about mobile phones. There was a study that found that computer keyboards and mobile phones are one of the dirtiest surfaces. What other surfaces should we be concerned about, and what precautions should we take?
Yeah, that's a good question. Even because every day we use a phone, and the surface, the smooth surface, actually we my colleagues and my friends use the spot and put some sanitizer to the screen and to the back side, and just left on our table, and when it get dried naturally, you can do it once a day or twice a day. Also, I think the elevator touch button, elevator, and your at your office, your screen of the desktop, and also even in my hospital we use the monitor to monitor the temperature of the body. That instrument should be use some sanitizer to clean it off. Okay, so I think for the ordinary people, the elevator, we should pay attention to the touch button.
Okay. So we are told not to touch our eyes, nose, mouth. How do people get ill from COVID-19? Can it be transmitted by saliva or blood transfusion?
Actually, yes. The blood transfusion, but I mean, this kind of transfusion is done not correctly. Actually, if you want to do the transfusion, the blood should be well prepared by medical ways. It will contain no virus or other microbiological things, particles. But if I know someone's transfusion liquid or other one's blood without properly disinfected, then it will get infected. Okay.
We are constantly reminded to wash our hands and to wash in the correct manner. How frequent should we wash our hands? Is soap or hand sanitizer more effective? We also have a question from our CEO, Dr. Kong, asking about that. Is soap more effective?
Actually, there are many kinds of sanitizers. I know that alcohol-based sanitizers, because some reasons maybe not suitable for people there. and they can use soap, hand soap. If you take hand soap and to wash them as long as 20 seconds, I think over 30 seconds may be quite suitable. In the low risk area, it will be okay. But if you work in a hospital or other high risk area, I think you should take alcohol-based sanitizers, or even use the bleach. If you like me, when I go to the operation room, I should use the bleach to clean my fingers, to palm, and to my arm, But it will take quite a long time. It's quite a complicated procedures. So I think so for students or just officers, okay. Take so, okay.
Yeah, Malaysia being a Muslim majority country, actually, the non-alcohol based hand sanitizers are actually quite popular. So I think the content is hypochlorous acid. So how effective is this compared to alcohol based hand sanitizer?
Well, if you use soap, maybe you can wash your hand every 4 hours. But if you can use alcohol-based sanitizers, maybe it can last 6 to 8 hours. That's the difference.
Okay. If someone gets infected by COVID-19 in China, what are they supposed to do? How we just want to understand, is it different in China?
Well, actually, we have 7 versions, regularly updated procedures to treat these infected patients. At last, we summarize all the variants. We find that if you find a person who got infected, you should quarantine him first. Keep the individual separate from the others. Then we should take the medical observation. Someone only carry this virus, but they didn't show any symptoms. They even don't feel coughing or sneezing or other symptoms. There's no symptoms. But we should keep them stay home or in a separate room for over 14 days. That's the first. But for the mild symptoms, we can use some medical observation as well as some herbal medicine. You know that in China, many people use the traditional Chinese medicine to treat the common cold, only for the mild symptoms. I think I observed that these people are cured with maybe 1 week, 7 days, maybe can get cured and get recovered, but still stay in home for over 14 days to prevent the spreading of the virus. And for those severe respiratory syndrome, and should go to the hospital. And then, in China, there are many special hospitals to treat these severe symptoms, treat patients. And this hospital has been instruments with the best medical supplements and instruments to keep it effective to treat them, and also as well as to prevent the virus spread out. So I think a hospital called Huo Shenshan, Lei Shenshan in China. That 2 hospitals are built in less than 20 days, and can save. Yes, it actually saved the hundreds of lives. We also think if you get recovered, go back home, you should stay as long as 14 days before you go to work or go to public. because sometimes this, I think, the virus are quite uncertain, because somebody even use a PCR test showed negative, but when they go to home after 7 days or 10 days, the second test may be positive. So these patients are quite at high risk, maybe spread the virus to the others. So we should keep them 14 days at home. Okay.
Yeah. I think in Malaysia it's also the same, that even if you have recovered from COVID-19, they are also asked to stay for under home quarantine for additional 14 days.
Yes.
What precautions must we take when, in public areas? What should we do after we go back home? What can we do to actually protect ourselves and also those people that we love at home from COVID-19?
I think first we should trust the scientist, trust the doctor. Do not panic, because the virus are not so fierce to all the people, especially for the younger people. But we should keep ourselves with good hygienic habits. Like we mentioned several times, to wash your hands. But also we should notice that if you have one symptom or two symptoms, you should go to your doctors or consult medical suppliers, not to hide your symptoms. Just go to the drugstore to buy some drugs, some pills to lower down your temperature, but it will not help. It may take you have a very high risk, maybe harm to your family. So do not panic. Trust the scientist. Also, if you have symptoms, go to your hospital. Go to your doctor. Okay.
Okay. We have some quite a few questions from the audience. So there's two of questions quite similar. It's about if the virus is airborne or not. The high density droplets video just now that we shared was quite scary. Is it possible that the virus will be airborne? The next question also similar. Is coronavirus disease airborne transmitted?
A short answer, very short answer, no. Because this virus, you can say, I found that picture. The virus is not alive. It's not alive. It can't live without your body, without our living creatures. When a virus outside animal or human being's body, it has stopped reproduction itself. So a virus can't be alive. But when it flow in the in the air, it has no living signs. When they get in touch with other body, it will get very high in density, and means many particles together touch your body, touch your skin. It can be harmful to your body. So the density of the air, the virus density in the air is quite thin, is too low, so have no chance to infect other human beings. But we should notice that the people cannot get so crowded, so we should keep a social distance 1 meter. If we get many people together, very short distance, and use your breath out in, those particles together can make the density quite a quantity of these particles, and maybe a chance to get infected. So it can't be airborne. Okay.
Yeah. Because virus is not alive. it depends on living cells for
Yes.
it to replicate.
Mm.
Okay, so the next question is from Asha Devi Kaushal. What was the biggest challenge when it came to educating the public with regards to the basic science of practicing good hygiene and daily habits, particularly in steering them away from centuries of old habits or practices such as consumption of certain meats?
That's quite a good question, and I think I will show you a picture. Asian habits means I know the people, the human beings, ancestors are all hunters. They hunt animals, but at that time they are not get crowded. So at that time, even they have no good hygienic habits, they do not get disease, transfer disease. But when the agriculture evolution happened, the people lived on corn, cattle, or even some other animals. The disease can spread from animals to human beings. So when you get crowded, when you live with animals, the hygienic habits should be improved. Like when you're eating, you should wash your hands because you get in touch with so many animals and so many human beings today. But if your surrounding is so empty, nobody, no animals, you can use no. But our nature, our human nature is lazy. We don't want to wash our hand frequently. I know that. So if you work in a hospital, in my hospital, you will see the corridors along our hospital. There are so many senators. One step, maybe next 5 or 6 meters, you can see another senators like this, one by one. So as a reminder to show you, you should wash your hand. So if you want to keep a good habit, maybe you can keep many senators as your office or in your home. Okay.
Yeah, I have all the staff in my department to put one on their table. So when they sit down, then they know that actually they need to sanitize their hand. We also put it close to, for example, like printers, things that multiple people will use. So remind them that before they touch the printer and after they touch the printer, that they must sanitize their hand. Just to be safe.
Yeah. That's quite important. The printers. Okay, I can take it down as a good point. I will share it to my colleagues. Okay.
Yeah, because the printer is something that we share in the office. So all those things that we share, we will remind people that you need to sanitize before and after you touch.
Yeah. It's a good manner.
Our CEO has another question. I think same with what we were talking earlier. Do you recommend we write down the grocery items we buy and spray with sanitizers? Any special method to do this? Things that we buy. So when we go to the supermarket, we buy food or even groceries and things like that. When we bring back home, what should we do with them?
If you like to store many groceries, I think it's not bad. There's no need. It's not necessary to wipe them out. You just can use the sanitizer, wash your hands or the items you bring back before you use it. But when it's stored together as a stock here there, the virus on the surface cannot last very long. There's a study about the virus can only exist on our smooth surface, like even our cell phone or others metal. It only lasts for several hours. After that, the virus will stop transmitting, stop reproduction. So there's no need to wipe them out. Okay.
Okay. The next question is, I think, related to something that we have talked prior to this, but maybe it is regarding mask. How long is the lifespan for our face mask? So I know you mentioned just now that probably about 4 to 6 hours that you can wear, but maybe this is if we work outdoors, outside. So maybe we sweat. So in Malaysia, it's quite humid. So maybe would that cause the mask to, the lifespan to be shorter?
Well, if you work outdoors the whole day, maybe the mask is there's no need to change it every 4 or 6 or 8 hours, because you're not in a very high risk area. Even you don't have a mask, maybe you can use the scarf uh, as a preventer to cover your mouth and nose. That will be probably the right way. But if you work in a hospital like me, and I must discard these masks as a medical rubbish, depending on your working environment. Okay.
Okay. There's two similar questions. These questions, I think, was answered by Dr. Kevin in our earlier episode already. But then maybe Dr. Zhang, you can elaborate. Maybe China is different.
Wow. Right.
Are recovered COVID-19 patients immune and won't relapse? The other comment, will antibodies after COVID-19 illness prevent reinfection? So will there be a relapse? So I did ask this same question to Dr. Kevin a few weeks back.
Well,
What's your opinion?
I think there's still some conflict about the situation. And some experts said if you got the COVID-19 virus, you will be immunity for your life. But somebody find that you may go back to hospital to treat this pneumonia again. But according to my opinion, I think this virus can be lifetime immunity. If you get once infected, you can't get it twice. But basically, it depends on the virus now don't get mutation. But yeah, don't get mutation. If we found some samples, we prove that it's mutation, maybe you will get twice infected. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, what role do scientists play during this pandemic? What can scientists in general do to help? And also, I understand that there are actually quite a lot of young audience with us tonight. So, what would you tell them? What would you advise them if they are interested in being a scientist when they grow up?
Well, for the young people, I think they have many chances to change the world. Oh no, every time a big epidemic disease go over the world, means every people get it, and in a very long time, it changed the history. Like the smallpox changed the India, the North America, which was brought it by Spanish people to the local people. And the Black Death, the plague, changed the European history, changed the world. I think this time this virus also can change the world. Every time we human beings facing the new virus or bacteria infected disease, most of the time human beings get together, invest more resources to do the scientific research. So it's I think we should encourage more younger students to study medical or biological or immunological science to help the human beings. And also, I think as a scientist or medical suppliers, as a doctor, we should tell the public the truth. So only the truth can break the rumors. The rumors can cause the panic and emotions. You know that at the very beginning of this virus, the very beginning period, even the economic activities slow down. The human, many people get into the store market, the supermarket. That's quite unreasonable. So the scientists should keep the public to tell the truth, to keep the public confident. You know, in nowadays, due to the jet travel, you can take a plane to every corner of the world within 24 hours. The disease spread more rapidly than ever before. But you know, the knowledge, the human beings share knowledge are more rapidly than the virus spread. So that's a good news for humans. We are okay. We have the chance to, I think finally we can have the win. Yeah.
Okay. We have another question from the audience. Yeah. Can the coronavirus spread via feces?
Well, that's our study showed that yes, but that's also prove that keep our good hygienic habits is a right way to keep away the virus. But actually, you can't touch the others' feces, the stools. But it means once stools or feces can contaminate someone's even food. When you take the food inside your gastrointestinal tracts, it can infect the people. From feces to food, then to human beings. That's the circle. Okay.
Okay. All right. Maybe one last question from the audience. Okay. So as follow up from your, just now you answered that there's mutation. That's when you worry that there may be sort of like not relapse, but then infection from the mutation. So virus do mutate. The work on vaccines on current strain of the coronavirus. Is it possible that by the time a vaccine is developed, it would not be effective against the newer strains? I think it's relevant, like for example, the common flu, the seasonal flu. Every year you need a new vaccine because they actually mutate.
Well, yes, I think when human beings developed our vaccine, sometimes it need lucky. Some virus mutation with no reason, so the developed work maybe go to a few. That's not fortunate. But actually, when our virus get quite stable, it can't be mutation. At least 1 year, the vaccine can be used, can be applied clinical. But in this period, you know, the people can get herd immunity, just as the British scientists said. The herd immunity is, I think, is the human nature. Every time, from the ancient time to nowadays, humans really beat disease by human nature, by human's body, by human immune system itself. So if the virus get a mutation, according to our knowledge, if it get a mutation, maybe it's less lethal, but can spread more. You know, the virus has a purpose. it will spread, copy themselves. Then they need lives, but they can't kill lives just as they first appeared in the world. So when it's getting mutation, maybe it's less lethal. And finally, it will be like a common flu. I think that's the final result. So if we human beings are lucky, we have vaccine and it didn't mutation. If we are not lucky, we'll take 1 or 2 years, had a herd immunity, and we finally get a good result. Okay, I'm quite optimistic about this.
So maybe now we'll play the video of how to wash the hands, and maybe you can run us through how and why this is so.
Okay. You play the video, okay? Okay, okay. Yes. So you first use some sanitizers inside your paws, and then you push regularly, and you cross your fingers, inside, outside, and squeeze. Okay. Repeat. Yes, your thumb, right and left, your thumb. Squeeze and the rotation. Also, notice your snails. Your snails should be clean, should be covered by the sanitizers. Okay. And wash your hand on the water. Okay.
Yeah. Previously, before this, usually we will do it very quickly, and then that's it. So I understand that there's a lot of crevices on our hands. That's why it's important that to reach all of this. So I like to watch medical drama. So every time the surgeon, before they go in, they will scrub before go for the surgery. So we actually had a workshop also. We developed a workshop a few years ago, even before this pandemic. In 2017, we developed a workshop called Scrub Up to actually teach people how to wash the hands properly. And when they don't do it the correct way, then they actually do see that there's still dirt on the hands. We use glitter to represent the microorganisms so that they can actually see it. Okay. So
you forget to wash your hand carefully. Remember this. You got many friends on your hand. You remember
millions of friends.
Yeah.
Okay. So looks like we need to wrap things up. So Dr. Zhang, how can someone with bad hygienic habits change his or her ways?
Well, actually, maybe it's hard, but if you see bad habits can result very serious consequences, you will remember. So when you forget to wash your hands, forget to keep the good habit, you can see this program repeatedly. Okay, to see
remind them.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Zhang, for spending your time with us for the past hour. We thank you for your sharing and hope you stay safe and healthy always.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sean. Okay.
So that's all we have for tonight. Thank you for being with us since 10 p.m. Do join us again next Friday on Science Stream at an earlier time slot, 8 p.m. when we speak with another guest from China, Dr. Gu Li, the director at the Department of Infectious Diseases and Clinical Microbiology of Beijing Chaoyang Hospital, Capital Medical University. All of us here at Technopark Penang would like to wish our Muslim friends Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri, Maaf Zahir Batin. Good night and stay safe.